Okay, so now we will have now three activities, three options. We have parallel session with Avianca. So we have a case there from Colombia. We have also a parallel session, upgrade to hospitality excellence with Oriol. He will be talking about the book that just launched. So a case from Spain, Catalonia. And here on the main stage, we're gonna have a Hungarian case there. We have Csaba, and we will have the 10 years down the lean road. So please join us here with Hungary.
Okay, can you share your presentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So hello, welcome everyone. I'm Csaba Szalai, proud member of the LEI Hungary team. Welcome from Budapest, from the capital of our country. And let me welcome shortly also our speaker, Béla Kelemen, Business Excellence Manager at MOL Group. MOL Group, an oil company with a presence in more than 35 countries worldwide, employing more than 25,000 people. Who will talk about, Béla will talk about a lean journey that started like 10 years ago at MOL Lube. MOL Lube is a small daughter company of MOL Group. Lube stands for lubricants in the name of the company. And just some highlights before Béla starts about his professional background. His lean journey started 12 years ago. By the time this journey started, he already had more than 15 years experience in different top management roles. And that was the time in 2012 when he was made responsible for a company-wide lean transformation program. So I hand over the word to him so he can share with you this really insightful and interesting story about MOL Lube, about the 10 years experience that the company could make.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Csaba. Welcome to everyone. Can you hear me and can you see my slides?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for the feedback. So I'm representing a small company. Of course, small means 25,000 employees with $3.1 billion EBITDA, 3 refineries, 2 petchem plants, and 2,400 retail station or gas station in Central Eastern Europe. It's small in the petroleum industry, but as listening the numbers, it's not so small. And I want to talk about one of the daughter companies of this oil industry entrepreneur, which is called MOL Lubricants. The lubricants is quite simple, one of the product of the oil industry. Most probably everybody knows this is used for machines and automobiles and other metal stuff. This company is much smaller than the group itself, with 150 million revenue per year, or EBITDA is 20 millions, but present in 60 countries, 3,000 clients, and producing more than 100,000 tons of lubricants. So regarding lean transformation is not too small, it's the right size. But if you look back 10 years ago, 2012, 2013, what was the world at that time? America, US was getting #1 in the crude production, so rising star. Asia was quite in a healthy situation with a 10% or 10+% economic growth. The only problem was Europe, and we as the oil industry or oil company facing to refinery closures, and it was said that 30% of the refineries are for closures, and we did not want to be closed. However, it happened in the reality, but how we can survive this period? The management, when I was one of the member of that management, as Csaba mentioned, I was responsible for the refineries. We did not want to be closed, and we created a new downstream program, which was rather about the new downstream and not a program. But the program was an old style program. 500 million efficiency improvement was the target. But thanks God, we had one element of this program, which was not traditional efficiency improvement, but rather a waste elimination, which was later renamed as a lean transformation. And we started this lean transformation. Of course, that was quite traditional from the transformation point of view. We were investigating the current state and we wanted to define the future state, and in between we followed the diagnose, design, plan, implement type of methodologies, and we wanted to do situational implementation. Of course, we use the external advisor as well. And once upon a time, the MOL LUBE was part of this program, and you could see Vida Szabolcs, who was the CEO, and he was nominated newly as a CEO to the company. Previously, he was responsible for the product line, the LUBE product line, which was not really functioning, functioned as a separated silo between the production and commercial side and logistics. But the MOL LUBE was a heritage with a 40, 50 years old assets, and these assets were specialized or built or designed for a low number of SKUs, which was 200. But at that time when the project started, the market required much more product. They had 3,000 SKUs, and in a much smaller lots, they could sell the product. So that was a quite interesting situation at that time.
Bela, I'm sorry
Yes.
for interrupting you, but I just got the message that everyone is seeing a gray box in the right part of your screen. So let me ask you to stop sharing, and then I will share your presentation, and I will go to the slide, and then you can continue. Okay?
Thank you.
So I go to share. Just a moment, guys. So yeah, so that's the presentation. I will go to presenter mode. Oh,
Please go to the slide.
I will go to this slide, right?
Yeah, the waves, the different waves. Yeah.
And now I will go to presenter mode. So now you can see it. And please tell me if I have to go to the next slide.
Okay, yeah, I will try to instruct you. Okay, so the transformation started in different waves. First wave was about the filling and packaging. The next wave was the blending. Blending is actually how the lubricant is produced, mixing up the base oil and the other ingredients like detergents and other components. And then we moved further the scheduling and supply chain management, and fourth and fifth wave was about the laboratories and autochemicals. Everything was according to the transformation. It could have happened like traditional something, but an event happened at the very beginning. And if you show the event, Gemba, please, next slide. This is the management. The management came together, and the exercise was a value stream mapping. It took 5 hours, and after 5 hours, they were not sure that what they prepared is it reflecting the reality. And you could see on the right side the CEO, and that was an alarming signal for the CEO that the management is there, 15, 20 people. And if you click once more or two clicks, Gemba, then you could see that this is a signal that the management is leading a company and they don't have any clue what's going on in the reality. They are familiar with the numbers, they are reading the reports, but what happens on the shop floor, they did not know. And that created a very different type of transformation. And I want to share with you a couple of ideas. The next one is a very creative idea. One of the operators. This is an old operator who in the meantime retired, but that was a problem. This is the lube bottles, and of course, moving on the conveyor ahead, but it's quite oily due to the oil drops, and every time happens something, and this person called Dibus, created this Dibus wheel. And if you click, then we can see the story. And he has got an idea after the agricultural combines. And one day went home and cut the irons and welded together this black combine type of item, which was to align the battles. And as the battles were aligned, then after this whole battling line, there was a packaging machine, which was put the bottles into a paper box, and the machine folded the paper into the box. But if they were not aligned in the previous time, then it happened almost every day that the bottle was pushed and destroyed, and the oil was everywhere in the machine. It required a 10-15 minutes or 15-20 minutes cleaning. After this small equipment, the whole story changed. There was no more person is needed to watch the machine on one time. On the other side, no cleaning, which increased the capacity of the whole battling line by 10 days. You could see here the inventories, a lot of inventories. Despite the huge inventory, the company was not able to confirm the orders within 48 hours. The delivery time was 5 days, which was required by the customers, but the on-time delivery was only 94%. What happened after the transformation? You could see the result on the next slide. The confirmation took only 3 hours, and the on-time delivery went up to 98.5%. And till today, they are fighting to decrease the inventory, but at the same time keeping or even increasing the on-time deliveries. So after roughly 3 years, there are lighthouses like in a textbook. And what we learned from the external advisor who helped us in this transformation, then after the first stage, there are 3 ways what could happen. And if you could see, this is a textbook type of picture. If you don't push the whole system ahead, you don't pay careful attention, management does not pay careful attention, everything is falling back and it will be functioning as a traditional efficiency improvement product. If there are some pressure on the system to keep the improvement, then you can get into the treadmill situation, doing some good things, but the process could not be changed significantly. But what happened in case of MOL Group, the management paid more careful attention, and you could see we went into the next phase. The next phase, if you see the next slide, the next phase is then more broadly use the tools. We introduced the Lean Academy, Lean trainings, more often the Kaizen events. So this transformational type of waves moved into the daily practice. I want to share a couple of things about that phase. The number one, which was the most difficult challenge, is the daily performance management. You could see after 3 years, that was the daily performance board, nothing on there. If the management came, or on the next picture, you could see the lean expert, he came down, then something appeared on the management board. They wanted to prepare something is better, which is a digital solution. And you could see the digital solution. If Csaba clicks further, that is the digital solution. On the top of the electric box, you could see digitally follow the actual performance, which is minus 65, namely that is the deficit of the daily performance, but nothing else. Of course, if you look at the box, you could see the dirty pallets, which means that they are really far from the lean thinking. And then what changed? The management started to visit regularly or more regularly the daily performance meetings. For example, on the picture below, you could see the MOL Group CEO, not only the MOL LUBE CEO, but the MOL Group CEO. And then they could create a much better performance board. it's not perfect, but that's serving much better the goal, which is the daily performance. It's quite well structured, and some elements, the SQDC is on the chart, on the board. So if Csaba, you can click, you could see that is already similar what we would expect as an acceptable performance board. What the management learned in this exercise. So actually they had to understand the importance of this daily performance management and follow it regularly. So then they started the Gemba. On the other side, they understood that the operator, which calls in Hungarian Pistaba, did not understand EBITDA, and they did not have any clue how to influence it. On the other side, the management understood that they have to break down the company target to the shop floor level. And additionally, in case of performance or daily performance management, they had to understand as well that the biggest enemy of such a transparency is if they blame the person, if they blame for the red numbers. So they started to change, of course, led by the CEO, regular daily management. And additionally, you could see what was before 2016. The operator goal was EBITDA, customer service level, namely on-time delivery, production unit cost, and HSE elements. So practically everything which the operator did not have any clue. Then they changed it. They introduced some sort of a KPI, PII breakdown, some sort of a strategy deployment. What are the indicators which is easy to follow on the shop floor and will have an influence on the company results? And if you go further, then we can see this is today, because year by year they improved it. The other example is the AT problem-solving methodology. They started to introduce it. This is the plant. It's a quite small plant, but with a high variation. Loading points are there, one-way streets in the plant. I mean, this is roughly 5 kilometers. One round of a truck, but 10,000 trucks per year. And what happened, it was a small plant, but big chaos. Even it happened very often that the trucks get lost and the administrators calling each other, 20 calls per delivery. The truck drivers were international, language barriers. So in the frame of this A3 problem solving, they identified the problem. You could see some numbers. I did not want to share with you all of the numbers, but these numbers created a good target. And we could see what was the first target, that at least reduce the processing time, the loading time or the enter-exit time, hour and a half. The max processing time should not be more than 2 hours, and increase the capacity up to 30 loadings. First of all, they try to lean the process, so physically eliminate the waste out of this process. And then they design a much better process using the digital solution. And at the end of the day, the solution delivered the result. If we go further, then yeah, they need to invest some 55,000 euro as a new software and the new equipment. But recently, after 3 months after the implementation, which was in July this year, the processing time is 1 hour 12 minutes. The maximum processing time, they did not reach the 2 hours, but 2 hours 30, but the 30 loading capacity is already there. Of course, if we talk about the lean transformation, we cannot avoid the financial result. However, this was not the goal, but rather a result. As you could see the last 10 years, EBITDA, it's quite stable and growing. Of course, it's a local currency, but if we want to see in real currency, in dollars, for example, then if you click Csaba once more, then you could see that started with an $11 million EBITDA, and after the 10 years or 8 years, they doubled it. So right now it's around $20 million, the EBITDA performance as a result. And now you can hear the CEO 2 sentences, what he considers. I can't hear, Csabi.
Van, hogy közel kerüljenek hozzám az üzemi és raktári területek.
That's okay.
Just a moment, I check.
Okay, go on.
Közben elismerjem az ott zajló valódi értékteremtést, és megtanuljam látni az ott dolgozó kollégák hozzájárulását.
So one of the key elements, as you could understand, and in his mind, the Gemba, and he really introduced this exercise or this approach with his management. So one of the key success factors is definitely, if you go further, is the management commitment. In this case, the CEO played the most important role, showing the example, keeping the basic principles, requiring the standard operation, and in the frame of the Gembas, if he could realize the non-standard activity immediately, they were acting. If we can hear the production manager.
Mint 20 éves vezetői tapasztalattal rendelkezem kenőanyaggyártás területén. Mindig kihívást jelentett a hatékony betanítás és a gyors tudásátadás. A TWI módszer bevezetésével és konzekvens alkalmazásával harmadára tudtuk csökkenteni a betanulási időt, nem csak új kollégák belépésénél, hanem új gépek berendezések, technológiák beépítése, bevezetése esetében is.
That's quite obvious what was Zoltán is talking about, people development. Even the MOL LUBE was really forced to introduce this TWI because the manpower market was so tight that we had to, I have to admit, we had to import foreigners into the country because that was lack of the manpower, and this was managed very smoothly. And the third element, if we consider the key success factor, this is the implementation, agile implementation, but not to think about the agile methodology, rather think about that on an agile way, act, not planning and discussing and rediscussing, but have a small plan and do it, and then check it and act it. So simply following the PDCA mechanism and experimenting the things rather than discussing. And if you see what's next, this is like a textbook. First phase, second phase, and now they consider that they are roughly on the dotted red line, but not there where they want to get. So the lean culture is still a couple of steps ahead, but I do believe, and I fully committed, seeing the last 10 years, that the next 5 years, they will develop further and they will improve the existing situation, because the continuous improvement as a mentality is already in the mind of the management and in the mind of the employees. So that was very briefly the story. Thank you very much for the attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions if you have.
So if you have any questions, guys, then please use the chat function of Zoom. So in the chat window, I will see all of your questions and I will read them, and so Béla can answer them. Okay, one question has already here that could be answered, and this is what was the biggest learning for you during this lean journey? I mean, during the lean journey of MOL LUBE, I mean, considering this special project, this small daughter company.
Understand. I fully agree with what is considered by the management a key success factor. This is the management participation and management approach. The number one manager, I mean the leader, the CEO attitude, and how he brought the rest of the leadership team into the game. And I have to admit that the actual leadership team is not the same as it was 10 years ago, because some of them, I have to admit, on a voluntary basis left because they were not able to follow this Gemba oriented activity. And that was the biggest learning, because in other transformation cases in the MOL Group, where the Gemba was not as strong as in MOL LUBE, the success was much smaller, or even there was no success.
Okay. What was your personal role or contribution?
At the
Because
beginning,
you were in a group level role, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was as a member of the downstream management, I was sponsoring the lean transformation everywhere in the organization. I was sponsored also the MOL LUBE. At the beginning, I helped a lot. For example, I was also participating on that famous event, which was about the value stream mapping. So I have also personal experience. That was one of my mostly shocking experience. From that time, I did more such an exercise, so not anymore so surprised, but that was one of the first such a surprise. And during these 10 years, I was always assisting and supporting both the CEO and the lean expert, or the small lean organization from the group levels.
Okay. So you mentioned that you had this, or you started using this agile approach, so short PDCA cycles. Do you have maybe any examples that are a good example for this, like really experimenting, testing new improvement ideas, so not like thinking over and
Oh, absolutely, quite a lot. As at the beginning, I mentioned that the market requirement changed a lot. Not some product, more volume, but more product, like smaller volume and different ways, different packaging, for example. And there was a request to have a small 30 liters or 50 liters packaged material, but such a battling line did not exist. And then the operator together with the unit manager came together and find out how to do to fulfill the customer need. And in the warehouse, in one of the corner of the warehouse, they created at the first not an automatic system, but the manually quite properly functioning loading equipment, which was able to load 10 to 20 such an item. It did not take 3 months. It took 2 weeks. But if it were in the old project management system, maybe even 1 year would not be enough to implement it. Or the other exercise was this mad exercise in the auto chemicals plant, which took 1 week to change from 4 hours into half.
Great examples. Thank you. So we only have time only for one question, which is about the next steps. So like, how do you see the next steps should be in this company? What are maybe the main important?
I think we should ask the CEO, but definitely still a lot to do. Recently, they are going into the new exercise, which is a bigger Kaizen event, or even the Karakuri type of improvement event that is in front of the whole team. They are preparing for that.
Sounds great. So again, thank you, Béla, for joining us and for sharing with us your story about MOL LUBE.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Have a great and successful lean transformation for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Csaba. Thank you, Béla. Thank you, guys.